What's up folks, and welcome back to the party. Today I wanted to make a guide video that should still be relevant come launch, and sometime after unless they drastically change the invasion system. But I wanted to tell you about a very likely way that you can beat these invasions and different things you can do in order to prepare for them. Now the invasions, as we know, is something that happens on a regular interval throughout the week between territories. What happens is that the corrupted starts forming up to attack your fortress, and you need to muster a defense in order to beat them back. This is something that can be joined by all factions, and if you lose the invasions, some of your workbenches and even defenses will get downgraded. And a while back they made it to where the more upgraded your settlement, the more penalties you get. Now this is a 50-player tower defense mode, but you need to be level 50 to even join it. That's why it's basically considered one of the in-game pieces of content. Before you even get in the invasion, the preparation starts outside of it. Some things that help, of course, is having a Discord server to advertise for the defenders. That level of communication does help, but also making sure that people have the proper consumables and gear. You'll be fighting the corrupted, so on your armor you can wear stuff that has corrupted resistance. Go for weapons that are infused with either arcane or nature damage, since the corrupted are weak to those elements, along with thrust damage too, so keep that in mind. Next thing is proper food management. Bring the highest level of recovery food you can, and bring extras just in case people need it. Bring attribute food as well, and keep in mind that you can have multiple food buffs going on at once, although it doesn't work as well as it used to. Honing stones and corrupted coatings will also be very crucial for this. Any amount of extra damage that you can get will help. And make sure to bring extra if you need to hand them out too, or at least funnel materials into your weaponsmiths and alchemists for this stuff too. And then once you get inside, this is what happens. So there's 8 total waves of this corrupted invasion. It's very similar to territory warfare, except instead of a point capture system, they're just going to be coming at your gates. So here's a default setup that people have used in the past when I've been a part of the winning invasion. Party 1 and 2 assigned to the left front gate, 3 and 4 at the middle front gate, 5 and 6 at the right front gate, and 7 to 10 at the back gates. Now sometimes I've seen people split off one of those groups to focus on using siege engines, and also being the main group for conducting repairs on the gate as needed. Though I've seen plenty of wins without having to worry about the siege engines, but at the very least you could designate a group that periodically goes back for repairs. They need to grab the siege repair parts from the station and then repair whichever gate needs it. Now after you've got in your head how you want to play this out, it doesn't stop there. You need to make sure firstly that you split up the healers accordingly. Something that might help is telling everybody that's a healer to type H or even X in the army chat. That way you can make sure you don't have like a full group of 5 healers all at one spot. Another thing is you can also split up your ranged DPS, or specifically mages. The back gates are going to be really good for having that AoE, because it's going to be waves of enemies coming at a narrow staircase, and that's their main point of entry. Gravity Well on the Great Axe, since they've been tweaking it a bit, might actually be pretty useful here now, but more importantly I would focus on getting people that have ice gauntlets and fire staffs to fill this role. Meteor Shower was a really powerful tool in invasions because of the AoE, and even if they continue to tweak it in the future, Fire Staff will probably always have a place here. When it comes to your battle tokens, the main thing you want to be buying exclusively is Inferno Traps. You do not want to be wasting these tokens on potions. You should be bringing those in or getting those from other people yourself. One thing to understand about invasions is that there were times when it was possible to take down these invasions with as little as 20 people. There were also tactics like being able to stack up powder kegs next to each other to block the enemies that break through the gates, and blow them up next to mini bosses for a lot of damage. But as these invasions continue to get tweaked, one thing that will more than likely always be true is that everybody, or almost everybody, in that invasion will matter. And you have the possibility to contribute a lot to either the success of the invasion or the failure. And this is why most of the time, you'll find people taking in players that have a good reputation of being good fighters or just being a team player, and especially taking the higher levels over the lower levels. So since you have to be 50 to get in here, your spot might get taken up by a level 60 instead of you. But do not take this personally if it does happen. Me, I've always hoped that they would expand this invasion feature beyond just 50 people and beyond just an instance. But for right now, that's how it has to be. There's real consequences for losing these invasions, and that's why people, especially guilds, have to take it seriously. Now when the invasion starts, firstly you want to make sure that your fighters are always staying near the gates. Try not to overextend, because what can happen is a domino effect. You get too far in the back line, some new enemies spawn and focus you go down and someone tries to get out there to save you, or maybe they were feeling confident and fighting alongside you, then you both die, and so on. Another thing is to keep buying Inferno Traps throughout the waves. Try not to use any of them for the first 1 to at least 5 waves. Using them before then is something I would consider a waste. You're going to need them, especially for helping you deal with the mini bosses. For your shot callers, these are people that will always want to make sure to tell you when to buy. After each wave or when a wave is about to end normally is the safest time to do it. Just type "buy" in all caps in army chat and everybody should get the idea. They should also be telling you to focus on the void destroyers when they spawn. These are the big corrupted heads that shoot laser beams and can do a lot of damage if left unchecked. I think I've seen people use siege engines on these before, so you can try that, or you can just tell your range players to focus on them. You also always want to be focusing the mini bosses as they spawn. So the corrupted ogres, the spriggan, the commander, the priest, and the bear. I've seen it done before where you could body block certain ones, the spriggan being the most common example. They can do a lot of damage to the gates if left unchecked, and something I like to do is placing inferno traps next to or on top of the gates when they spawn because it helps to chip down some of their health. For waves 1 to 3, it's normally just business as usual. You'll get the little creature corrupted, the spearmen, and the muskets. Wave 4 of the invasion is where you want to start using honing stones and coatings in between waves and boss fights. Wave 5 is where you start to see things like the priest and ballistas, but keep holding back your inferno traps at least at the back gates. Around wave 6 is when you start to encounter the void destroyers. Like I said before, you need to focus these ones, and it'll probably help for your shot callers to call focus on one at a time. If you feel by this point that your army is going to start getting overwhelmed or you want to be safe, go ahead and start putting down inferno traps. If you feel confident, wait for wave 7. And then for wave 7, this is where you absolutely need to make sure that you have inferno traps down and are constantly using the honing stones and coatings for extra damage. The only people this shouldn't apply to are the people using your siege repeaters. They can buy ammunition kits. You'll start to see some mini bosses like the corrupted bears, ogres, and spriggans, and this is the point where the invasion can easily fail. It's all or nothing. And finally, for wave 8, this is where you throw everything you got. Now in the future or right at launch, one thing that might be worth testing is to see if you can get a powder keg down next to one of these mini bosses when they're at your gate and explode it. But I think they employed some restrictions on this, so we might not be able to actually do that. Either way though, honing stones, coatings, potions, healers, inferno traps, repeaters, everything you got. Keep taking out the corrupted ogres and spriggans, the commanders, and everything else, and then after a couple of minutes, you're all done. Then you've officially completed an invasion and you can live to fight another day. Hopefully this guide helps, and if they do drastically change things in the future, I'll be sure to make another one. Have a wonderful night or day, folks, and farewell.